Is America headed for a civil war? Stay tuned, everybody. For the best meat you have ever eaten in your life, go to samsbutchershop.com. Enter the coupon code Triple T when you check out for a 10% discount. And happy Monday to all of you. I am trailertrashtim. How's your mom and them? Welcome everybody to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me. And we start off another week here on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining me over the weekend. We had a live stream yesterday, and I hope you got to see the Playhouse Saturday. If you didn't, go back and catch that video because it was a hoot. It was a lot of fun. But I got a lot to cover today, so let's get going if we can. I am asking the question today, is America headed for a civil war? That's a valid question to ask, and I think I have a valid answer for you, and that's coming up in just a moment, but I want to kick off with this. On the 20th of October, first of all, a little backstory. As all of you know, undoubtedly, the President, Donald Trump, has been or is embroiled in a series of court cases and lawsuits that have been lodged against him from various parties. The civil trial, I think that one's in New York. He has one in Atlanta, and there's too numerous to mention. But they all have one thing in common: they're all bogus, and they are all politically motivated, because there are powers that be that simply hate Donald Trump. Hate we deplorables, those of us who won't vote for whomever, even if it's not Trump. If we don't vote the way they want us to vote, if we don't vote the way they want us to vote, they have nothing but contempt for us. And Trump is like a symbol. You know, he is a symbol of any peace-loving, law-abiding, tax-paying, hard-working citizen that the deep state absolutely despises. Those inside the Beltway, the bureaucrats and those who are in office, they have nothing but utter contempt for us, and they don't want us around. They certainly don't want our voice to be heard. Thus, the frivolous lawsuits against Trump. I got confused yesterday when I was doing some research for today's show, because I knew that a judge had slapped a gag order on President Trump, and I thought that the judge was this Judge Arthur Engoron of New York, this clown, the one that looks like Scrooge. But somebody else told me no. Marina told me, actually, she said, no, I think it's Judge Chutkan. And so I kept doing a little research. The fact of the matter is, we were both right. Both judges have slapped a gag order on Trump. This is Judge Chutkan of New York. That's this little prize. These people are nothing but contemptible. And I'm telling you, oh, Lord, we need to be vindicated so badly. But this is what I want to get to. This is a story. There's two stories I want to cover here briefly. I'm not going to read the whole thing to bore you, but I want to give you the highlights of the story. Let's start with Judge Chutkan. This appeared in the Gateway Pundit on October the 20th. President Trump on Friday filed this past Friday filed a motion to stay or halt the gag order imposed by Judge Chutkan, Tanya Chutkan. According to Chutkan's gag order, Trump cannot criticize special counsel Jack Smith or any of his prosecutors. And the article goes on to read, Jack Smith can leak and lie about Trump and threaten witnesses, but Trump cannot defend himself. Otherwise, he will be violating Chutkan's unconstitutional gag order. It certainly is unconstitutional. And I covered this last week about the utter folly of these ridiculous gag orders where these judges are telling a private citizen of the United States that the First Amendment does not apply to them. They're telling Trump, you keep your mouth shut. Well, it is unconstitutional. Trump is fighting it, as he should. It is absurd. It is outrageous. It is ridiculous that they're telling him to keep his mouth shut. Everybody else can talk, but Trump has to remain silent, even though he is the victim in these frivolous cases. Now, this is what was posted also last Friday in the Epoch Times. This is from October the 20th. Judge Arthur Engoron, remember the judge now, the one who looks like Scrooge, the one who absolutely, we have it on record, he has nothing but contempt for Donald Trump. This man hates Donald Trump. There is no way that Trump can get a fair shake in this man's courtroom, nor can he get a fair shake from Judge Chutkan, nor can he get a fair shake from Fani Willis in Atlanta. Think about it. In Atlanta, I know specifically for Atlanta, if you have a jury trial in Atlanta, from the jury pool, 75% of those who would be selected for a jury in Fulton County are Democrats. Now, do you honestly believe that Donald Trump or any fair-minded person could get, or any Republican could get a fair trial in a Fulton County courthouse? Dream on. There is a reason they're bringing these frivolous suits to Trump in these particular jurisdictions where Trump is hated. It is stacked against him. This is the reason, not to get sidetracked, but let me cover this real quickly. As you probably know, Sidney Powell, a former advisor to Trump, pled guilty in Fulton County last week. I believe it was Fulton County last week, to several misdemeanor charges. Now, she had a sheet full of felony charges and misdemeanor charges against her. And bear in mind, once again, remember the demographic that would make up a potential jury in a jury trial. She had no chance. It was stacked against her, and she knew it. And so that's why she basically pled guilty to the misdemeanors, to basically save herself from going to prison for years. There were all the, and Fani Willis knew this. She knows what she's doing. She's manipulating these people into positions where they have no choice but to plead guilty to something. And that is what Sidney Powell did. She had, I believe, 7 felony indictments. She did not plead guilty to them. But in basically what was a plea deal, she pled guilty to the misdemeanors so that she can keep herself out of prison. I think she's going to get probation and I think a fine of $2,500. It's absolutely absurd. There is no justice for a Republican or a conservative or a fair-minded person in Fulton County, Georgia. There is no justice for a Republican in Arthur Engoron's courtroom. There is no justice underneath a Judge Chutkan. There is no justice for a Republican in New York, in Fulton County, Georgia, in Los Angeles, in Chicago. There's no justice, and they know it, and that's why they're bringing these cases in these jurisdictions. So, Judge Engoron, back to Judge Engoron, he issued a gag order and fined Donald Trump $5,000. Quote, this is a quote from Judge Scrooge, Judge Engoron. Trump has received ample warning from this court as to the possible repercussions of violating the gag order. This court is way beyond the warning stage. Ooh. Continue the quote. I will now allow the defendant to explain why this should not end up with serious sanctions, or I could possibly imprison him. Now, he is being threatened with prison not only in Judge Engoron's courtroom, but also in Judge Chutkan's courtroom. Both of these renegade judges, both of them are saying to Trump, you either keep your mouth shut or we're going to send you to prison. Trump has stated he is willing to go to prison. This is the point I want to make. Sit up and pay attention. This is important. Trump has got an ace card up his sleeve that he needs to play. I wish for all the world that I could be his mouthpiece. Not that he needs one, mind you. But this is what I wish Trump would say to Judge Scrooge, Judge Engoron. In reply to Judge Engoron, who says, I will now allow the defendant to explain why this should not end up with serious sanction, or I could possibly imprison him. If I could tell Trump what to say, it would be simply this: go ahead, throw me in jail, make my day, Judge. He should say to Judge Chutkin, make my day, throw me in jail, stop threatening me. Don't sing it. Bring it. Let's go. Go ahead. Throw me in jail. Please. I'm begging you. Throw me in jail. Go ahead. This is exactly what needs to happen. These two renegade judges, Donald Trump needs to play the Trump card, no pun intended, kinda. He needs to throw the card on the table and call their bluff. Throw me in jail. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's get it on. Don't just threaten me with jail. Throw me in jail. Now think about this, folks. First of all, imagine the nightmare scenario for the Secret Service. It ain't like they could just throw Trump in GP, general population, right? This would be a logistics nightmare, and these idiot judges know that. But this is why Trump's got the Trump card, and he needs to play it. Tell them, go ahead. Don't threaten me. Don't threaten me. If you say you can throw me in jail, then do it. Do it. Stop talking. Do it. Throw me in jail. This is the second point about this, and it's going to tie in with the next thing I want to talk about. Can you imagine the repercussions? Can you imagine what would happen to Trump supporters in the United States if these judges had the stones, which they don't, to throw Trump in jail? Can you imagine? I'm telling you, if they actually did this, if Judge Ergeron, Judge Scrooge, and Judge Chutkin, if they had the cojones to actually put Donald Trump in jail, they know what would happen, and that's why they ain't got the you-know-what to do it. They're not going to throw him in jail. They can bark and they can bellow all they want, but they're not going to throw Trump in jail, and Trump knows it, and that's why Trump should tell them, just throw it right back at them. Throw me in jail. Imagine what would happen with the Trump with the Trump supporters in America. If you think J6 was this, you ain't seen nothing yet, sweethearts. I would love for Trump to say that, and I would love for these these idiotic judges to do it. Just do it. Okay, bailiff, take him to jail. Oh, baby. Can you imagine the scenario? Can you imagine what would happen in this country if Donald Trump, who is loved by millions and millions, how many votes did he get? 80, 90 million? Can you imagine? I'm telling you, folks, it would be therapeutic. It would be, in my opinion, just what this nation needs. Even if you're not a supporter of Donald Trump, surely you could recognize the oppression that the American people who stand for the right things, who work and pay their taxes and play by the rules, who are held in contempt by people like Tanya frickin' Chutkin and Judge Ergeron. Can you imagine the outrage if it happened? These people are sick up to here. People like me and people like you, we have had it with the contempt and the hatred these people have for us. And man, I'm telling you, oh my Lord, it's just a dream scenario of mine if they just do it. Stop saying it, do it. But they're cowards. They're not going to do it. They're just going to bark and bellow and bellyache, but they're not going to do it. I just wish they would. And I think deep down inside, Trump wishes they would do the same thing. All right, let me get on to this real quick because it really ties in with this story and what I really want to talk about today, so bear with me. There is an article in Newsweek magazine. Now, Newsweek is just a left-wing rag, of course, but understand the context of this article. The article is entitled Full List of States Where Donald Trump Could Be Kicked Off the Ballot. I printed this out from Newsweek magazine. Full list of states where Donald Trump could be kicked off the ballot. I won't read the whole thing, so stick with me. Donald Trump is facing calls to be blocked from running for president in 2024 over allegations that his actions on January the 6th violated his constitutional oath. There are currently attempts by advocacy groups and individuals to have Trump's name removed from state ballots next year over claims he violated Sections 3 of the 14th Amendment, which says that a person who engaged in this or rebellion after taking an oath of office to support the Constitution should be prevented from running for office again. Newsweek has compiled the states where there are active or potential steps to have Trump barred from running for office next year over claims that he violated the 14th Amendment. Now, what does the 14th Amendment say? I wrote this down for you. I'm not going to read the whole amendment because it doesn't apply. But in Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, this is what it says, and I've parsed it to get to the meat of what it's saying here. No person shall hold any office, shall have engaged in this or rebellion against the same. So that is the essence of the 14th Amendment. If you participated in this or rebellion, according to the 14th Amendment, you cannot hold elective office, federal office. So that is what these states I'm going to talk about in just a minute are basically hinging their arguments on, that Trump is disqualified from being president again because he committed this on January the 6th. Now, this is a problematic argument for this simple reason. This did not happen on January the 6th. You got it? Everybody remembers January the 6th, where a bunch of people went to Washington to basically speak their minds, but the left-wing lunatics in Washington, D.C. and across America have labeled the events of January 6th this. You and I and any clear-thinking person understands that January the 6th was a lot of things. This, it was not. And I have pointed out before, if January the 6th was this, where were the tanks? Where were the missiles? Where were the cannons? Where were the guns? Where were the AKs? Where were the troops? It's absurd. If that was this, then that was a pretty piss-poor this, if you ask me. January the 6th was not this. And these people absolutely know it. So their argument is absolutely full of holes. It is completely weak. But let me get to these states. They list in this article 4 states that are at least talking about removing Trump from the ballots. The state of New Hampshire is one that is at least talking about it. The state of Michigan is another. The state of Arizona is another one. And the state of Colorado. So these states, and there may well be more, it's certainly easy to believe that states like California or New York could certainly look into the possibility of removing Trump from their ballots, because the powers that be in these states absolutely loathe Donald Trump. They do not want him. They want anybody but Trump, anybody that's a Democrat. What they want, of course, is in all likelihood Gavin Newsom. They will do anything they can, legal or illegal, to keep Trump from being president again, including a strategy of keeping him off the ballot. Now, are they going to succeed? I don't believe so, because ultimately, no matter what they tried, obviously the Trump campaign would appeal this to the Supreme Court, which would have to hear it, and I do not believe the Supreme Court would be kind to these states that would be trying to keep him off the ballot. I could be wrong about that. I don't think I am. The point is simply this. Let's imagine a scenario where these states, these 4 states and possibly more, actually did manage to keep Trump off of the ballot for the election. Keep that in mind and go back to these judges who are slapping a gag order on Donald Trump. Think of these things together in context. Folks, I want you to imagine this scenario, bearing in mind that the deep state, the D.C. cesspool, Democrats and a lot of Republicans, as we have seen this past week in the futile efforts to try and get a Speaker of the House. It's basically people who hate Donald Trump who are being the sticks in the mud. But I want you to imagine a scenario where they could possibly manage to keep Donald Trump off of the ballot. And I want you to think about this for a moment. You have at least, I would say, 80 to 100 million people in the United States of America at a bare minimum who are at least supporters of either Donald Trump or anyone else who is a threat to the deep state and the D.C. cesspool. These are people, myself included, likely many of you included, if you're in the United States. These are people, generally speaking, who work hard at their job, they pay taxes, they obey the law, they play by the rules, they raise their families, they are good citizens. They ask nothing of their government other than for it to follow the Constitution. All that I personally ask of the government is that they defend our coast and borders and punish criminals. That's what I ask of the government. In my life, I have never taken 1 red cent from the federal government or state government. Not 1 penny. I have paid my taxes to assorted governments in my working life, which is still going on. I have never asked anything. It is interesting to me that all I ask of the government is to defend the borders, thus securing the safety and security of our nation, and to punish criminals. That's all I ask. That's all I ask, and they are failing on both points. So I'm not getting anything. I'm only asking for 2 things, and I'm not getting anything. Neither of the things I'm asking for am I getting. But, brother, they're getting everything that they can out of me and out of you, I'm sure. But I want you to imagine this. I am representative of a lot of people out there. I would say at least off the top of my head, 80 to 100 million people. I'm basing that on the number of people that we know voted for Trump in the 2020 election. These are people who do 3 things regularly. They work, they pay taxes, and they go to vote every 2 years, every 2 and 4 years in America. Listen to me closely. If these evil people in positions of power take away your right to vote for Donald Trump or the candidate of your choice, the question is this: could that cause a civil war in America? I contend it could. I contend that, generally speaking, the American people are largely pacifist, I would say. We don't have law-abiding people out in the streets every day creating mayhem. There's a lot of things going on that we don't like, a lot of laws being passed that we don't agree with, a lot of taxes being raised that we have to pay, and we just kind of lay back and take it. And every 2 or 4 years, we let our voice be heard at the ballot box. And I am telling you right now, you take that away from us, and by God, you're going to see something happen in this nation. If there would ever be a reason for there to be a civil war, in my opinion, that would do it. You take away our voice, as you are trying to do, you're going to get some repercussions from that. How that would happen, I do not know. But I'm telling you, there's a lot of people out there who are not going to lay down if something like that happens. Are you one of them? Just think about that. If they take away your vote, if you're like me, you work hard, you play by the rules, you pay your taxes, and all you do to let your voice be heard in a technical and legal sense, in a very real sense. I mean, you can post on social media, that's true, but that don't count for much in terms of fomenting actual change inside the Beltway. Our voice is our vote. You take away our vote, you're taking away our voice. And that ain't going to sit too well with so many of us that believe our vote is a sacred thing. You take that away from us, by George, that might just be the last straw. I'm not sure that's a bad thing, because I'm going to tell you, we are sitting back and taking all this stuff, and eventually the rubber band has got to snap. Don't you think? This is why I think that it could be a positive thing for these judges to actually throw Donald Trump in jail. I think it might be something. It's not going to happen, but if it did happen, I think it would have a really positive effect for those of us who support Donald Trump, or people that might be similar to him, that are tired of everything we're suffering from this government. We're tired of the endless unconstitutional wars, the corruption, the high taxation, the porous borders that they're doing not a damn thing about. We are tired of it. And something has got to happen sooner or later, before we get into World War III, when we're all screwed. That's where I am today. I would love to hear your comments down below. Do me a big favor, everyone. If you would, please give this video a big thumbs up. Like it down below. If you have not subscribed to the Trailer Trash Tim channel, as long as you're not an illegal alien, you're a legal resident of your nation, as long as you do not wear a face mask, you are more than welcome to join our channel. Subscribe down below and join our growing community. Remember to give me your thoughts down below. I would love to hear what you have to say. This is Trailer Trash Tim. Go out there and have a tremendous Monday, everybody, and I will see you tomorrow.